She had $347 in her bank account and a heart too proud to cancel. Maya stood in front of her bathroom mirror, hands trembling as she tried to apply the last traces of lipstick. She'd been stretching for 6 months. The tube was so empty she had to dig it out with a cotton swab. Her dress, the only one without stains or holes, hung a little looser than it had a year ago. Skipping meals did that. But tonight wasn't about her empty stomach or her screaming bank account. Tonight was about hope, however foolish it seemed. Her 7-year-old daughter, Emma, appeared in the doorway, clutching her worn teddy bear. "Mommy, you look like a princess." Maya's throat tightened. If Emma only knew that this princess couldn't even afford the subway fare home. "Thank you, baby. Mrs. Chen will be here any minute to watch you." Is this the man who's going to be my new daddy? Emma's eyes sparkled with innocent hope that shattered Maya's heart into smaller pieces than it already was. "No, sweetheart. It's just dinner with a friend." Maya couldn't tell her daughter the truth that her best friend, Rachel, had set her up on this blind date out of pity, that she'd agreed because Rachel promised the restaurant would be paid for, that she was so desperately lonely she'd forgotten what adult conversation felt like. The restaurant was in a part of Manhattan Maya usually avoided, the kind of neighborhood where people's shoes cost more than her monthly rent. She'd walked 43 blocks to save the subway fare, her feet screaming in her only pair of heels. By the time she arrived at Le Bernardin, sweat had ruined whatever makeup she'd managed to apply. The host looked at her with thinly veiled judgment. "Reservation name?" "I'm meeting someone. James Hartwell?" The host's demeanor shifted instantly. "Of course, Mr. Hartwell's guest." "Right this way." Maya's stomach dropped. The way he said Mr. Hartwell carried weight, importance, money. "Rachel." "What have you done?" The man sitting at the corner table stood as she approached. James Hartwell was nothing like she'd expected. Tall, yes, with silver threading through his dark hair, but his eyes held something that caught her off guard. Deep sadness that somehow matched her own. "Maya?" His voice was gentle. "Please sit." She did, trying not to think about how this chair probably cost more than her car, the car that had been repossessed 3 months ago. "Thank you for coming." "Rachel speaks very highly of you," James smiled, and Maya noticed it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Rachel has a habit of exaggerating," Maya said, then immediately regretted it. Why couldn't she just play along? Why couldn't she pretend, just for one night, that she belonged in a place like this? James laughed, a real laugh. "She told me you were honest to a fault." "I appreciate that." The waiter appeared with menus that had no prices. Maya's anxiety spiked. "I should tell you," she started, her cheeks burning. "I can't. I should probably just order something simple." James studied her for a moment. "May I be honest, too?" Maya nodded. "I own a tech company. I have more money than I know what to do with. I have a penthouse I barely sleep in, cars I don't drive, and a calendar full of people who want something from me." He paused. "Rachel told me about you." "About your daughter." "About your husband passing away 2 years ago. About how you work 3 jobs and still show up to volunteer at the children's hospital every Sunday." Maya felt exposed, naked. She had no right. "She told me because I asked her to set me up with someone real. Someone who understands that money can't buy what matters." His eyes glistened. "My daughter died 3 years ago. Leukemia. She was 6. The restaurant noise faded away. Maya reached across the table instinctively, her hand covering his. "I'm so sorry." They didn't talk about investments or business ventures. They talked about Emma's obsession with butterflies, about how James's daughter, Sophie, had loved to paint, about grief that never really leaves but just learns to coexist with joy, about the weight of waking up every morning and choosing to keep going. "What do you do?" James asked. Rachel was vague. Maya laughed bitterly. "I'm a waitress at a diner, mornings. I clean offices at night. And 3 times a week, I do data entry from home after Emma goes to bed. And yet you volunteer on Sundays. Those kids need someone to read to them, to remind them they matter." Maya's voice cracked. "When Emma's father died, a volunteer at the hospital sat with her for hours, just holding her hand. I can't repay that person, but I can pass it forward." James was quiet for a long moment. Order anything you want. Maya, please, let me give you this one evening where you don't have to count pennies. Something in his voice wasn't pity. It was understanding. So Maya ordered, and they ate, and they talked until the restaurant began closing around them. I should go, Maya finally said. Mrs. Chen charges by the hour, and I'm already... She stopped, embarrassed again. Let me drive you home. You don't have to... Maya, I'd like to. If that's okay. His car was exactly what she'd feared. Sleek, expensive, screaming wealth. But James drove carefully through the city streets, asking about her neighborhood, about Emma's school, about nothing and everything. When they pulled up to her building with its cracked steps and broken buzzer, Maya expected judgment. Instead, James said, "Thank you for tonight. I haven't felt this human in years." Neither have I, Maya admitted. Can I see you again? She wanted to say yes. God, she wanted to, but reality crashed back. James, look at me. Look at where I live. You're a billionaire. I'm barely surviving. This isn't a fairy tale. What if I don't want a fairy tale? His voice was urgent now. What if I just want someone who sees me as James, not as a bank account? What if I want to know someone who spends her last energy volunteering because she believes in goodness? I can't be your charity case, and I can't be your villain just because I have money I didn't ask for. He turned to face her fully. My therapist told me I've been dead inside since Sophie passed, that I go through motions, but don't feel anything. Tonight with you, I felt alive. Is that so wrong? Maya's eyes filled with tears. No, but I'm scared. So am I. They sat in silence, the city humming around them. Emma wants a father, Maya whispered. I can't let her get hurt. I would never hurt her. Or you. James reached for her hand. I'm not asking for promises, just a chance. Let me take you and Emma to the park this weekend. Let me try. Maya thought about Emma's face when she'd asked about a new daddy, about her own crushing loneliness, about how this man's brokenness somehow fit perfectly against her own. Okay, she breathed. One chance. 6 months later, Maya stood in a different bathroom mirror. This one was in James's penthouse, their penthouse now. Emma's laughter echoed from the living room where James was helping her build an elaborate butterfly garden in boxes. They'd set up by the windows. The lipstick she wore now was new, expensive, unnecessary. But what made her glow wasn't the makeup, or the clothes, or the financial security that still felt surreal. It was the post-it note James had left on the mirror that morning. You didn't fall for my money. I fell for your heart. Best investment I never knew I needed. Love, Jay. Emma burst in. Mommy! Daddy says the butterflies will hatch next week. Can we have a party? Daddy. The word still made Maya's breath catch. Of course, baby. James appeared behind Emma, scooping her up. A party where we invite all the kids from the hospital. What do you think? Emma squealed with delight. Later, after Emma was asleep, James and Maya stood on the balcony overlooking the city. Do you ever regret it? Maya asked. That blind date changed everything for you too. James pulled her close. You showed up with nothing but yourself. No pretense, no angle. Just genuine kindness in a world that had forgotten what that looked like. He kissed her forehead. You didn't need anything from me. You just needed to be seen. And in seeing you, I found myself again. Rachel deserves a medal, Maya laughed. I offered her one. She said your happiness was payment enough. Maya thought about that. Woman who'd walked 43 blocks to a date she couldn't afford, who'd been terrified and proud and desperate all at once. She thought about the man who could have had anyone but chose the woman with the empty lipstick, tube, and the full heart. I love you, she said simply. I love you too. You and Emma, you're my second chance at being human. In a city of millions, two broken people had found each other and discovered that sometimes the greatest wealth isn't measured in bank accounts. It's measured in the courage to be vulnerable, the strength to keep going, and the grace to recognize love when it arrives wearing worn-out heels and carrying nothing but hope. And that, Maya finally understood, was worth more than all the money in the world.